Welcome back, everybody, to HINature episode 4, Natives. Now, I'm your host again, Mr. Taylor. Of course, with Homer, the chameleon, and our awesome guide, Mr. Davis.
Welcome back.
Now, today on our episode of HINature episode 4, we're talking about natives. So we're going to talk about what it means for a plant and animal to be native to Hawaii. So we're going to be talking about natives, and we're going to be looking for natives all around the Nature Center today. And we're going to find lots of plants and maybe some animals as well. So the first question we need to ask is, what does it mean for something to be native? Simply understood, something native to Hawaii or plant and animal means that it got here all by itself with no help from humans, no human intervention. So we like to remember natives by the 3 W's, okay? And those 3 W's are, one being wind. So small insects or seeds can travel through jet streams hundreds of miles and end up here in Hawaii. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened. Also, we have wings. Birds, lots of native birds, have flown to the Hawaiian Islands, right? But seeds can also be traveling or hitchhiking on those birds. So if I was a sticky seed, I can maybe attach to one of the feathers or their feathers and then make that journey here into Hawaii, drop off, and then a plant grows. Also, if I was a bird, I can eat some maybe fruits, digest those seeds in my stomach, make that long journey here to Hawaii, and then relieve myself, poop, and a seed comes out and a plant might sprout, right? That's wings. And last one, waves, right? Water, ocean currents. Seeds or aquatic life can travel through the ocean currents and waves and end up here in Hawaii, right? We have lots of native fish, and even some native plants traveled here through the waves. So let's review. What are the 3 W's that plants and animals use to get to Hawaii? First one, wind. Second one, that's right, wings. And the third one, do you remember? That's right, waves or water. Today, as we search for native species around Makiki Valley, it might be a little tough because what we see around us is a lot of introduced and invasive species. Because in the late 1800s and early 1900s, there were 3 main events that decimated or destroyed our native forests, especially in Makiki. Can you name those events? In front of me right now, I have a couple of old pictures of deforestation that happened in this region. This is a picture taken in 1927 of the Makiki Tantalus area. Same with this one, taken in the late 1800s. And as you can notice from both of these shots, right, there isn't much of a forest. And when the forest is cut down, for many reasons, we call that deforestation. When we think about deforestation that happened in the greater Honolulu area, it comes down to 3 major events. And those 3 events would be the sandalwood trade, the whaling industry that boomed in the 1800s, and the introduction of ungulates, better known as hoofed animals like pigs or cows. These had huge impacts on our native forests, and a lot of the forest became destroyed because of it.
All right, so Mr. Taylor brought up 3 major events that forever shaped Makiki Valley. The first of these events was the sandalwood trade. Okay, so sandalwood, what is sandalwood? It's also called iliahi. It's very fragrant lumber, and they cut it into lumber pieces and they could build all sorts of things. They could build bed frames, cabinets, small jewelry boxes. Whatever you kept in those boxes would smell really good. Okay, so it's a very valuable piece of lumber. So the king at the time traded all that lumber for weapons. Okay, to build up his army. All right, so that was the first event. The second event was the whaling industry. And you may be wondering, what do whales have to do with Makiki Valley? Okay, but whales at that time were really important. They would cook down their blubber, convert the blubber into oil, put that oil in their lanterns so they could get light. Okay, to do that, you need lots of lumber to burn and cook down the blubber. So they went to the closest forest, which was Makiki Valley. They cut down that forest, and they took out a lot of the big trees just for the creation of oil. Okay, and the third and final reason was introduction of hoofed animals. Okay, so your basic farm animals, cows, goats, sheep, pigs, they do a lot of damage to our mountains. All right, they'll eat the understory plants, and they'll reach up as far as they can and eat the branches. Okay, and eventually that causes a lot of erosion, and we lose a lot of trees and plants from that.
So we've come to our first native tree in Makiki Valley, and this is our Acacia koa, better known as koa, right? And koa is so special and famous here in Hawaii because you can make beautiful, beautiful things out of the wood. Something like this plaque that we have here at the Hawaii Nature Center. But you can also make furniture and bowls. Acacia koa is one of the tallest growing native trees in Hawaii. It can grow up to 120 feet. Also, I want to talk about a really cool adaptation that this tree has. Now, when it's young, when the leaves are young, and they are true leaves, but they slowly turn into phylloids, right? Not true leaves. They're actually more like stems. And these phylloids are shaped like sickles. They're sickle shaped, right? They're facing downwards instead of facing up towards the sun, which you think would optimize the photosynthesis. They are facing outward. Now, this is a cool adaptation because in the forest, what these leaves do is that they collect moisture from the clouds that are rolling through, and that moisture collects on the leaves and then slowly drips off of the tips down to the roots. So it's an adaptation for this plant to get as much water as possible. We've come to our second native plant in our garden. It's known as Vitex rotundifolia, better known as HINature. It has a great fragrance and has been known to use the leaves for tea. Also, Hawaiians used to take the leaf and layer it in their kapa as an insect repellent. But now, you know what you can do at home? You can take the leaves and put it in your stinky sock drawer. And your mom will think that you're doing the wash. Ah, pohina. We have now come to what is believed to be Hawaii's only native palm, Crichardia hillebrandi, better known as Loulou. And the seeds here, we think the seeds floated here by the ocean currents or waves, one of those W's. Loulou gets its name from its huge palm fronds that are shaped like umbrellas. Loulou is also known as umbrella in Hawaiian because the Hawaiians used it to shade themselves from the sun or rain. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
All right, our next plant is called Metrosideros polymorpha, otherwise known as Ohia lehua. Okay, this tree is actually Ohia mamo, meaning it has a yellow flower, but usually you see them with a red flower. The seeds of this tree are really small, so the wind can blow them great distances. As well, the birds will eat these seeds and they'll fly and disperse them from there. Okay, what makes this plant special is it's a pioneering plant, meaning it's one of the first plants to grow after a disturbance like a lava flow, which makes a lot of sense because the Hawaiian Islands were created by volcanic eruptions. So we have lots of these massive lava flows, and these are the first plants that are able to take root.
The next plant that we have right behind me is the Scaevola takata, better known as beach naupaka. And beach naupaka has special adaptations that help it live in a warm and hot environment, such as its leaves have little tiny furs that help keep in moisture. Now, Pakka also has these seeds or little fruits that have seeds inside that actually they can float in water. So I have a bowl here just to demonstrate, and we can think of what W helped Pakka, beach Pakka, get to Hawaii. If it can float in water, which W do you think helped it? That's right, waves, right? Now, these seeds traveled far and long distances across the ocean currents and found their way on the coastlines of Hawaii. And bam, they grew. And we can find them all throughout the Hawaiian Islands. Beach Pakka, very popular native plant.
Okay, we're at a really cool spot. We're kind of in the middle of the stream, but a really interesting plant is growing on this rock over here. It's called Asplenium nidus, otherwise called Acacia, or bird's nest fern. Okay, ferns are really cool. All right, we talked about ferns in the last episode, in our forest episode, about how they have spores. And spores are very similar to seeds. They're these tiny little specks of dust that float throughout the forest, and when they find a good place to live with enough moisture, they begin to grow. Just like this bird nest fern found a good spot on a rock in the middle of the stream. Pretty cool. Okay, we're at another plant, which is another fern. All right, this is Nephrolepis, also or better known as Cuckoo Fern. Okay, very resilient plant. All right, this is indigenous, and unlike many other indigenous plants that we hardly get to see, the Cuckoo Fern grows all over the forest. A great plant to plant in your backyard garden because it doesn't take too much of anything. You can grow it in a variety of conditions, and it grows and spreads really well.
So last episode, Mr. Davis and I went bird watching with our binoculars, and we saw lots of different birds, and I was really excited about it. But unfortunately, those birds that we found were introduced birds. We saw no native birds. And today around Makiki, it's really hard to find those native birds. But even though we don't see them now, I do want to cover some really special native birds you can find in mesic forest around the Hawaiian Islands. One would be the apapane. Apapane is a type of honey creeper, and it was a prized possession for ancient Hawaiians because they used their feathers to decorate capes and helmets. The apapane has a really cool brush-like tongue that is adapted to getting nectar out of flowers, such as the ohia lehua, like you learned about just a little bit ago. Another very popular native Hawaiian bird is the iiwi. It's known for its bright red colors, like scarlet or crimson colored feathers. It has black wings and white spots underneath. The iiwi is known for its vocalization or its calls, where it gets its name iiwi, iiwi, sort of like that. It's also an aggressive bird, and it chases other birds away from where it's feeding. The iiwi has a lower call and louder call than the apapane. Another special bird we might find in our forest is the Oahu elepaio. The elepaio love mesic forests, and they feed on insects and other invertebrates. The elepaio, though, are threatened by urban development and loss of habitat, and that's why we unfortunately don't see them as much as we used to.
All right, we've had an awesome day so far, checking out some native plants and animals in Hawaii. And I'm lucky today because I get to do the craft with you guys. All right, and our craft will be a native bird hat. Mr. Taylor will be modeling the iiwi hat. Looks good. Okay, and I think I'll be building a amakihi mask or hat. Okay. The supplies you're going to need: stapler, Sharpies, okay, a pair of good scissors. All right, always let your parents or guardians or grandma, grandpa, or uncle, auntie, let them know when you're using these equipment. All right, permanent markers, we don't want to get permanent markers all over places or accidentally cut ourselves with the scissors. Okay, we're also going to need construction paper, the bigger size, okay? I'm going to do the yellow one because I'm going to do the amakihi. If you want to do a red to make the iiwi or the apapane, awesome. Okay. And you're gonna need a second color for the beak, okay? The amakihi has a yellow feathers and a black beak, so black construction paper. If you want to do the iifi, we have a more orange beak, so use orange paper. Okay, let's get started. First things first, we're gonna have to turn this into the actual head, okay? First, we're gonna get our Sharpie and kind of draw a whale's tail almost. Looks like a whale's tail coming out of the water. Alright, now you gotta do the cutting. We'll save this paper for later. Put it in our scrap bin. We don't like to throw things out at the Hawaii Nature Center. We like to reuse. Same thing with this. I'm sure one of our campers can figure out a way to use this. Okay, now we have the head of our bird. Doesn't look like it yet. We're getting there. Okay. Next, we need to make a beak. It's gonna be kind of hard. I'm just gonna kind of freelance this one. See what happens. Good. That's pretty good. Okay. So far, so good. Now here's when we get the stapler out. Staple. Back of the head. Oh, that's why it wasn't working. Staple the top. Okay. Now, we're going to staple the beak on. So you got to open it up or else it won't, you don't want to staple it shut. So open it up. Just like this. Put one here for good luck. One there. One there. Alright, we're making our way. My head might be too big for this one. Okay, let's do our eye now. Try to match the other side. Okay. Here's my. Oh, I gotta take a. Alright, Homer. How's that Almakihi hat look? Okay, so that was it. That was our craft for today. If you want to make different birds, there's many different types of birds you can make. I encourage you to go look up a book like this. Take a look at different types of indigenous birds in Hawaii and see if you can make a cool hat to match.
Boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us for episode 4 of HINature, our native edition. Today we talked all about native plants and animals and how they got to Hawaii with the help of the 3 W's, right? Wind, wings, and waves. We even got to visit some natives in our native garden, and Mr. Davis took us down to the stream to talk about some ferns. But what we didn't talk about is why native plants are so important to Hawaii. Now, these native plants have adapted to live in this special climate of Hawaii. And that means if you plant them, that they'll need less maintenance, pest control, less water. And if you plant these native plants, you know what they do? They support native animals. So these 2 species have grown together, right? A lot of these native birds that we talked about have adapted to feeding on different types of native plants. So if you can plant native plant species, you might find more native animal species. I want you to go around your house or next time you go out safely and see how many native species you can find. Do you find mostly natives, or do you find mostly introduced or mostly Polynesian introduced plants? And if you're wondering what are Polynesian introduced plants, don't worry, because next episode we're going to cover that topic. So stay tuned and stay healthy, and from your friends at the Hawaii Nature Center, aloha. Bye, Homer. See you, Mr. Davis.